वासुदेवाय ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य च श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Gaura Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we read the third chapter, that is about the birth of Lord Krishna. Okay, Haribol. Let's start. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and one who understands them factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the second chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the star known as Rohini was also predominant because this star is considered to be very auspicious. Rohini is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusions, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At that time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky, and on the surface, in all towns and villages or pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the Brahmanas, who were accustomed to offer sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire altar had been almost stopped in the house of Brahmanas, but now they could find the opportunity to start fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmanas were very distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear loud vibrations in the sky of transcendental sounds proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The denizens of the Gandharva and Kinnara planets began to sing, and the denizens of Sitaloka and the planets of the Garanas began to offer prayers in the service of the Personality of Godhead. In the heavenly planets, the angels, along with their wives, accompanied by the Apsaras, began to dance. The great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves, and above the sea there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who also appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared with the full moon in the sky as it rises on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyed condition. So by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just as a full moon. In an astronomical treatise by the name Kamanikya, the constellations at the time of the appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at that auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. Vasudeva saw that wonderful child born as a baby with 4 hands holding conch shell, club disc, and lotus flower decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of Kaustuba stone, dressed in yellow silk, appearing dazzling like a bright blackish cloud, wearing a helmet bedecked with the white Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings, and similar other ornaments all over his body, and an abundance of hair on his head. Due to the extraordinary feature of the child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? He could therefore understand that Lord Krishna had not appeared, and he. Okay, let's see some pictures. So here is dear Mother Devaki. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, I request you to conceal this four-armed form of your lordship, which holds the 4 symbols of Vishnu. Haribo. Lord Krishna played on the lap of Devaki just as an ordinary child.
Perfect side.
The joyous vibrations at Krishna's birth ceremony could be heard in all the pasturing grounds and houses. Now here is Putana.
Mhm.
So giant that couldn't fit in one picture even.
Third picture.
Yes, he was shouting, "Oh child, leave me, leave me." The night was very dark, but Vasudeva could see everything just as in the sunlight. So he became powered by the occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity conditioned by material nature and was extraordinarily imprisoned by Kamsa, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, was appearing as a child in his home, exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing, fully equipped with all the signs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Over and over again, Vasudeva glanced at his child, and he considered how to celebrate this auspicious moment. Generally, when a male child is born, he thought, people observe the occasion with jubilant celebrations. And in my home, although I am imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? Hare Krishna. Hey, Prabhu, you can continue.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. When Vasudeva, who is also called An Anak Anaka Buddhi, Anak Anak Anakdundubi was looking at the newborn baby. He was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in the charity to Brahmanas. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's place, the king give many things to charity. Cows decorated with the golden ornaments are delivered to Raj and says Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance, but because he was shackled with the wall of a Kansa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within the mind, he gave thousands of mind to Brahmanas. Instead, within the mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. When Vasudeva was that the newborn child was the supreme personality of Godhead himself, he bowed down with folded hand and began to offer him prayer. At time Vasudeva was for him prayer. At that time Vasudeva was in the transcendental position and he became completely free from all fear of the Kansa. The newborn baby was also placing him influence with the room in which he appeared. Vasudeva then began to offer his prayer. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are Godhead, the supreme soul of the living entities and the absolute truth. You have appeared in one eternal form which is directly perceived by us. I understand that because I am afraid of Kamsa, you have appeared just to deliver me from that. You are the same person who bring about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please continue because someone is calling me again and again.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, bro.
Morning,
One may
morning,
argue that
Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Divithi Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Bruce, please accept my humble obeisances. I'll go to Shri Prabhupada.
Vibhu.
One may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his grace, cannot come within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, "My dear Lord, it is not a very wonderful thing that you appear within the womb of Devaki, because the creation was also made in that way. You're lying in the causal ocean of Mahavishnu as Mahavishnu, and by your breathing process, innumerable universes come into existence. And then you enter into each one of the universes as Garbhakshai Vishnu. Then again, you explain yourself as the Kishur Dakshai Vishnu, and entered into the hearts of all living entities, and entered even within the atoms. Therefore, your entrance in the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. He appeared to have entered, but you are simultaneously all pervading. He can we can understand our your entrance and non-entrance from the material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. The material body has nothing but the combination of the five gross elements namely earth, water, fire, air, ether. Um, Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created, but actually the elements are always existing outside of the body. Similarly, although you appear as a child in the womb of Devaki, you are also existing outside. You are always in your abode, but still you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms. One has to understand your appearance with great intelligence because the material energy is also emanating from you. You're the original source of the material energy, just as the sun is the source of the sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in the three modes of material nature, but actually, the three modes of material nature cannot cover you. This is understood by the highly intellectual philosophers. In other words, although you appear to be within the material energy, you are never covered by it. We hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence, and therefore everything becomes illuminated. We can understand from Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyoti or the Brahman effulgence emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord, and from the Brahman effulgence, all creation takes place. It is further stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is also the support of the Brahman effulgence. Originally, he is the root of all causes. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead comes within the material world, he accepts the material qualities. Such uh, such conclusions are not very mature, but are made by the less intelligent. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is directly and indirectly existing everywhere. He is outside. He is outside this material creation, and he is also within. He is also within it. He is within the material creation, not only as Karbhadakshay Vishnu. He is also within the atom. Exist. Existence is due to his presence. Nothing can be separated from his existence. In the Vedic injunctions, we find that the supreme soul, or the root cause of everything, has to be searched out, because nothing exists independent of the supreme soul. Therefore, the material manifestation is also a transformation of his potency, both in inert matter and living force, soul, are emanations from him. Only the foolish conclude that when the Supreme Lord appears, when he accepts the condition of matter, even if he appears uh, to have accepted the material body, he is still not subject to any material condition. Krishna has therefore appeared and defeated all imperfect conclusions about the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Bhavishya Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Bhavishya Tiparu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Bhavishya Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada.
Okay, who continues?
May I continue, Prabhu?
Haribol, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. My Lord, your appearance, existence, and disappearance are beyond the influence of the material qualities, because your Lordship is the controller of everything, and the resting place of the Supreme Brahman. There is nothing inconceivable or contradictory in you. As you have said, material nature works under your superintendence. It is just like government officers working under the orders of the chief executive. The influence of subordinate activities cannot affect you. The Supreme Brahman and all phenomena are existing within you, and all the activities of material nature are controlled by your Lordship. You are called Suklam, Suklam, or witness, is the symbolic representation of the absolute truth because it is unaffected by the material qualities. Lord Brahma is called Rakta, or red, because Brahma represents the qualities of passion for creation. Darkness is entrusted to Lord Shiva because he annihilates the cosmos. The creation, annihilation, and maintenance of this cosmic manifestation is conducted by your potencies, yet you are always unaffected by those qualities. As confirmed in the Vedas, Harir Hirnirguna Sakshat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always free from all material qualities. It is also said that the qualities of passion and ignorance are non existent in the person of the Supreme Lord. My Lord, you are the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Grade maintaining the order. The Supreme Grade maintaining the order of this cosmic manifestation. And in spite of your being the Supreme Controller, you have so kindly appeared in my home. The purpose of your appearance is to kill the followers of the demonic rulers of the world who are in the dress of royal princes but are actually demons. I am sure that you will kill all of them and their followers and soldiers. I understand that you have appeared to kill the uncivilized Kamsa and his followers, but knowing that you were to appear to heal him and his followers, he has already killed so many of your predecessors, elder brothers. Now he is simply awaiting the news of your birth. As soon as he hears about it, he will immediately appear with all kinds of weapons to kill you. After this prayer of Vasudeva, Devaki, the mother of Krishna, offered her prayers. She was very frightened because of her brother's atrocities. Devaki said, "My dear Lord, your eternal forms, like Narayana, Lord Rama, Shesha, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vamana, Baladeva, and millions of similar incarnations emanating from Vishnu, are described in the Vedic literature as original. You are original because all your forms as incarnations are outside of this material creation. Your form was existing before this cosmic manifestation. Your form was existing before this cosmic manifestation was created. Your forms are eternal and all-pervading. They are self-effulgent, changeless, and uncontaminated by the material qualities. Such eternal forms are ever cognizant and full of bliss. They are situated in transcendental goodness and are always engaged in different pastimes. You are not limited to a particular form only. All such transcendental eternal forms are self-sufficient. I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord Vishnu. After many millions of years, when Lord Brahma comes to the end of his life, the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation takes place. At that time, the five elements, namely earth, water, fire, and air and ether, enter in the Mahat Tattva. The Mahat Tattva again enters, by the force of time, into the non-manifested total material energy. The total material energy enters into the energetic Pradhana, and the Pradhana enters into you. Therefore, after the annihilation of the whole cosmic manifestation, you alone remain with your transcendental name, form, quality, and paraphernalia. My Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the director of the unmanifested total energy and the ultimate reservoir of the material nature. My Lord, the whole cosmic manifestation is under the influence of time, beginning from the moment up to the duration of the year. All act under your direction. You are the original director of everything and the reservoir of all potent energies. Hari Bol. Anyone can continue.
Evil. Beginning from the moment up to the distribution of sorry, hold on, my screen is like very dark. Okay. Beginning from the moment up to the duration of the year, all act under your direction. You are the original director of everything and the reservoir of all potent energies. Therefore, my Lord, I request you to save me from the cruel hands of the sons of Ugrasena, Kamasa. I'm praying to your lordship to please rescue me from the fearful condition because you are always ready to give protection to your servitors. The Lord has confirmed his statement in Bhagavad Gita as assuring Arjuna, you may declare to the world, you may declare to the world, my devotee shall never perish. While thus praying to the Lord for rescue, Mother Devaki expressed her affection. I understand that his transcendental form is generally perceived in meditation by great sages, but I'm still afraid because as soon as Kamasa understands you have appeared, he might harm you. So I request that for the time being you become invisible to our material eyes. In other words, she requested the Lord to assume the form of an ordinary child. My only cause for fear from my brother Kamasa is due to your appearance. My lord Madhu Sultana Kamasa may know that you are already born. Therefore, I request you to conceal your forearm form of your lordship, which holds the four symbols of Vishnu, namely conch shell, the disc, the club, and the lotus flower. My dear lord, at the end of the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, you put the whole universe within your abdomen. Still, by your unalloyed mercy, you have appeared in my womb. I'm surprised that you imitate the activities of an ordinary human being just to please your devotee. On hearing the prayers of Devaki, the Lord replied, My dear mother, to the millennium of Swayambhuva Manu, my father Vasudeva was living uh, as as one of the Prajapatis, and his name at the time was Satapa, and you were his wife named Prishni. At that time, when Lord Brahma was desiring to increase the population, he requested you to generate offspring. You controlled your senses and performed severe austerities by practicing the breathing exercise of yoga system. Both you and your husband could tolerate all influences of the material laws, the rainy season, the onslaught of the wind, scorching heat of the sun. You also execute all religious principles. In this way, you are able to cleanse your heart and control the influence of material law. In executing your austerity, you used to eat only leaves of the trees which fall out on the ground, to the ground. Then the study mind and controlled sex drive, you worship me, desiring me to wonder, um, desiring some wonderful benediction for me. Both of you practiced severe austerities for 12,000 years by the calculation of demigods. During that time, your mind was always absorbed in me. When you were executing devotional service and always thinking of me within your heart, I was very much pleased with you. O sinless mother, your heart is therefore always pure. At the time, I always appear before you in this form just to fulfill your desire. I ask you to ask whatever you desire. And at that time, you wished to have me born as your son, although you saw me personally. Instead of asking for complete liberation from the material bondage under influence of my energy, you asked me to become your son. In other words, the Lord selected his mother and father, namely Prishni and Sutapa, specifically to appear in the material world. Whenever the Lord comes as a human being, he must have someone as a mother and father. So he selected Prishni and Sutapa perpetually. He was his mother and father. And on account of this, both Krishna and Sutapa could not ask the Lord for liberation. Liberation is not so important as the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord would have awarded Krishna and Sutapa immediate liberation, but he preferred to keep them within the material world for his different appearances, as as will be explained in the following verses. On receiving the benediction from the Lord and to become his father and mother, both Prishni and Sutapa returned from the activities of austerities and lived as husband and wife in order to beget a child who was the Supreme Lord himself. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Hare Krishna. In due course of time, Prishni became pregnant and gave birth to the child. The Lord spoke to Devaki and Vasudeva. At that time, my name was Prishnigarba. In the next millennium, also, you took birth as Aditi and Kashyapa, and I became your child of the name Upendra. At that time, my form was just like a dwarf, and for this reason, I was known as Vamana Deva. I gave you the benediction that I would take birth as your son 3 times. The first time I was known as Prishnigarba, born of Prishni and Sutapa. The next birth I was Upendra, born of Aditya and Kashyapa. And now for the third time I'm born as Krishna from you, Devaki and Vasudeva. I appeared in this Vishnu form just to conceive you that I am the same Supreme Person of Godhead again taken birth. I could have appeared just like an ordinary child, but in that way you would not believe that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, have taken birth in your womb. By my dear father and mother, you have therefore raised me many times as your child, with great affection and love, and I am therefore very pleased and obliged to you. And I assure you that this time you shall go back to home, back to Godhead, on account of your perfection in your mission. I know you are very concerned about me and afraid of Kamsa. Therefore, I order you to take me immediately to Gokula and replace me with the daughter who has just been born to Yashoda. Having spoken thus in the presence of his father and mother, the Lord turned himself into an ordinary child and remained silent. Being ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva attempted to take his son from the delivery room, and exactly at that time a daughter was born of Nanda and Yashoda. She was Yoga Maya, the internal potency of the Lord. By the influence of this internal potency, Yoga Maya, all the residents of Kamsa's palace, especially the doorkeepers, were overwhelmed with deep sleep, and all the palace doors opened, although they were barred and shackled with iron chains. The night was very dark, but as soon as Vasudeva took Krishna on his lap and went out, he could see everything just as in the sunlight. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Krishna is just like the sunlight, and wherever there is Krishna, the illusory energy which is compared to darkness cannot remain. When Vasudeva was carrying Krishna, the darkness of the night disappeared. All the prison doors automatically opened. At the same time, there was a thunder in the sky and severe rainfall. While Vasudeva was carrying his son Krishna in the falling rain, Lord Shesha, in the shape of a serpent, spread his hood over the head of Vasudeva so that he would not be hampered by the rainfall. Vasudeva came onto the bank of the Yamuna and saw that the water of the Yamuna was roaring with waves and that the whole span was full of foam. Still in that furious feature, the river gave passage to Vasudeva to cross, just as the great Indian Ocean gave a path to Lord Rama when he was bridging over the gulf. In this way, Vasudeva crossed the river Yamuna. On the other side, he went to the palace of Nanda Maharaj, to the place of Nanda Maharaj, situated in Gokula, where he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. He took the opportunity of silently entering into the house of Yashoda, and without difficulty he replaced his son, taking away the baby girl newly born in the house of Yashoda. Then, after entering the house very silently and exchanging the boy with the girl, he again returned to the prison of Kamsa and silently put the girl on the lap of Devaki. He again clamped the shackles on himself so that Kamsa could not recognize that so many things had happened. Mother Yashoda understood that a child was born of her, but because she was very tired from the labor of childbirth, she was fast asleep. When she awoke, she could not remember whether she had given birth to a male or female child. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third chapter of Krishna, birth of Lord Krishna. Haribol. Okay, now let's go to six as compares. चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावादुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्.
Nam Namakari Bodhandi Sarvasaktis Dakta Pitani Amatas Marnana Kalaha Itajushita Bakipa Bhagavama Pidurdeva Michi Samiha Janinanuragaha
Tirnadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniyeha Sada Harihi.
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
Ainanda tanu kinkaram patitam mam vismavaim bhavam buddho kipayatava para pankajas tituduli satyasam pitintaya.
Sorry. Nainam Galada Shuddharayam Vadanam Gatkada Ruthaya Gira Pulakair Nichitam Vapuhu Kada Tavanama Grahani Bhavishyati.
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्ष्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत् सर्वं गोविन्दाविरहेण मे
Aslisla Aslisya Baparatumam Adarshana Mamahatam Kurutuva Yatav Tatapa Pitatulam Pato Matran Astu Sevan Apraha.
हरिबोल
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it sprays the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sensual prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separations, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Hare Krishna, Sri Siksastakam ki jai. Panchadakam
Jai,
ki jai. Nityananda Prabhu ki
Jai,
jai. Sri Krishna
Jai,
Chaitanya
Jai,
Prabhu ki jai. Jagat Guru
Jai,
Jai,
Granta Swami Shla Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai,
Nitai Gaura
Jai.
Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhus, for joining again the reading
Yeah.
session after.
Thank you for organization